Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Renee Merlot. Happy birthday to you. I really should have been a singer. I think we all know that, especially by hearing me drop those bars. Today is my happy birthday edition to my good friend Renee Merlot. Renee lives in New Jersey. So happy birthday to you, Renee. I know it's a little bit belated. This is going to come out the day after your birthday, but it's because I did one yesterday on your birthday. And I just felt like it was a little bit too negative, and that's not the way I come off or want to come off. I know that I vent a lot, and I have no problem with venting or complaining about things that bother me, but I don't want it to be like a completely negative podcast where everybody just feels like, are we just going to hear you bitch again? Because that's not what I'm trying to do here. I have a lot of good things happening in my life, so it's sometimes hard not to focus on the negative. I think that's human nature, or that's maybe a little bit of what I do sometimes. Not necessarily focus on the negative, but it's just what pops in my head when I have to talk about what my week's been like. This week is kind of a lot of stuff. My friend Renee, it's her birthday. Well, yesterday was. That was the 11th, was Renee's birthday. And if you guys don't know, me and Renee used to hang out all the time when she lived here in LA. She did comedy for a while. Some of you do know Renee. And she did comedy for a while. And then I think we lost touch for about a year in between while she was in transition moving from LA. She spent some time in Florida, and then we didn't get to talk for a while. But when she lived in LA, we used to go to the Cobra all the time. If you're not familiar, it's a gay bar in the Valley. And she had this security guy that liked her, and she liked him, and they would flirt a little bit. And that's when I was really partying and enjoying myself, so I would slut it up a bit. I remember once or twice buying Renee hot dogs so that she would have something to do while I was in the parking lot. Or there's not even a parking lot there, it's just street parking, but I'd be in one of the cars hanging out with a new friend that I would never talk to again, but it was fun. It was a good time. And then uh 2 or 3 years ago, I was in New York because I was supposed to do a gig not only for Comedy Juice in New York, but they do Comedy Juice at Gotham there. And then we also were in Cape May. We got way too drunk in Jersey, or Atlantic City, excuse me. Way too drunk in Atlantic City. And we won't go into that story, but the fun night was the first night when I got there because I had to do Gotham that night for Comedy Juice, and then we have this thing that it isn't even planned. Like now we joke about it that it's has turned into what it is. Um, where it'll be like when we were in New York, we were walking around and we walked by the Stonewall Inn, which is a famous gay bar where Stonewall happened, if you're familiar. And we were there, and all of a sudden I was like, let's go in and just have a drink. Nothing crazy. Let's just have one drink. And we go in, that leads to shots. At some point, the bartender ended up carrying me like a baby, and I only know this because we had pictures. Like the next day, I woke up and I was like, Renee, when did this happen? And she was like, oh my God, I don't remember that either. And there was this old gay dude that kept trying to sing like Freddie Mercury, who he kept calling Eddie Mercury, and we were trying to be polite, but it was the worst. He had the worst voice ever, but he was telling us how he did karaoke and he loved Eddie Mercury, and it was just a ridiculous, ridiculous weekend that I was there. We almost we had a huge blow up in Atlantic City, I'll tell you that, and we brought it back around. So long story short, Renee is my ride or die friend, if you don't know. And so happy birthday to you, Renee. And Miss Patricia, if you're listening, hello to you. If you guys don't know, which most of you don't, Miss Patricia is Renee's mother. And Miss Patricia is absolutely hilarious. I when I was in New Jersey, I stayed with them, and it was great. And I hope everybody's doing well in New Jersey, and I hope life is being good to you guys. So, on to regular business. People have been asking me about Donald Trump still. I still get asked to do podcasts about it. I'm doing less and less podcasts about it. I did one for Jessica Michelle Singleton last week, and that was fun. I'll let you know when it's out. It still isn't out yet, I'm sure, because I haven't heard anything about it. I'm doing less and less of those, though, because it's just in a way, it's all interesting to me still. I still enjoy following along somewhat, but too many people are still too angry about it, and people act shocked about stuff that I don't really care about. Like there was the dossier that came out the other day. Well, not necessarily came out. Like BuzzFeed said, we don't really know if this is true, but here it is. You can check it out. And it had the, thing about Russian hookers and pee, and I don't really care what anybody does with hookers. I don't care at all. So it's not like that's going to change my mind on anything. And when it comes to Russia specifically, some people get mad at me for saying it, but I feel like it would be nice for us to have a better relationship with Russia, especially with all that's been going on, and we share some, I guess you would say, mutual enemies. So I don't see anything wrong, and I'm not at all worried about Trump getting along with Putin. I hope they do get along. And I know that people say, that the Russians had donated however much money or stuff like that people bring up. But the truth is, Hillary had, people donating money that we don't necessarily get along with or wouldn't want having influence in the United States. And that's just the way politics works. And it's unfortunate. And I understand every single person that says, screw politics altogether. For my friends that say that, I definitely get why you say that. I'm not trying to say that you should feel any different. But for me, this is the way it works. This is the system we have. And I'm just doing my best to keep a positive attitude about everything. And remember that stuff only is going to affect me so much. Everybody wants me to panic about everything, like Obamacare. And I just don't think people have a full grasp of the fact that we don't have the same priorities and we don't have the same fears. And I'm not going to pretend we do just to make people that I don't know happy. In a lot of cases, I don't know the people that come after me the hardest. And it's like your concerns are different than mine. A lot of times people are worried about like what their kids are going to see. Well, I don't want my kids to see that there's a president. Well, I don't have kids. Okay? So the same way I'm not expecting dog care to be at the top of your list is the same way you shouldn't be expecting your kids to be at the top of mine. That's just not the way it works. And I'm not going to pretend that I do care about what it is that's important to you when it's just not a concern for me. Obamacare, I stay healthy. That's what I do. And if anything happens, I'll pay for it. That's just the way it's going to have to go down. I mean, I somehow found the money to get elective surgery. I'm sure I could find the money to get one that I actually needed. Maybe then you'd finally get to see me pull a GoFundMe or something. Something like that, which we all know how I feel about that. Anyway, like I said, there's a lot of good things happening on the comedy scene, a lot of good people on the comedy scene. One thing that is a bit disappointing is one of my favorite open mics is closing down. That's the Liquid Zoo. They will no longer be doing the Wednesday night open mic as of or after next week. Next week will be the last Liquid Zoo open mic. Ron Swallow has been running that. I was one of the original hosts for the Liquid Zoo. I don't remember who was before me. Maybe it was Gail Gramlich, who's a good friend of mine. She does comedy once in a while now, but not really anymore. She's was the bartender out at the Liquid Zoo, which if you're not familiar with Liquid Zoo, it's on Sepulveda and Sherman Way out in Van Nuys, so out in the valley. And when I used to host that mic, like I said, and when I first was hosting it, that's when it was really at its quote unquote worst as far as what was going on in the bar. There were a lot of prostitutes and pimps there. The pimps would sit in the corner. There's a kind of a little corner where the pimps used to sit, or a pimp a night was usually what it worked out to. And his girls would come in and give him some money, and he would kick it, and I would say watch the comedy show, but not really. The pimps there weren't really the biggest in the comedy, but they, in my opinion, they added to the atmosphere. I had some good times when I was hosting the zoo. I hosted it for a while. Then I think there might have been a host or two in between, and then Ron Swallow took it over, and Ron Swallow has been running it for a long time now. I don't know how many years it's been that Ron has been running it, but God bless Ron Swallow for giving all the comics a place to work out and being there week after week, because I only did it for so long. I think I might have been like 4 or 5 months that I was the host every week. And you get to see the worst side of comics when you run an open mic, because they all turn into children and they want to know when they're going to go up. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's the worst people where it's just like, you're terrible. Like, don't be in a hurry to go up. Just, please, work on your set. Go stay quiet and write for a while so that we're not all getting punished by what it is you do for yet another week. Let's see, on the drama front, here's the deal. Here's what I'll tell you guys about that. Last week, I put up a post about a comic named Ashley Hamilton where I referred to her as mediocre. And I don't apologize for that, but at the same time, I do respect Ashley because she walked up to me on Saturday night when I was at the Hollywood Hotel, the Baps open mic. She walked over and, or no, actually, she was sitting down, and I ended up in her area because she was sitting near where the hosts are, and then we started talking. And yeah, we argued for a little bit. Jeff Carasalis, who is the homie, was involved in being silly and somewhat moderating in his own way. But it got a little loud for a while. All the comics ran over like there was going to be a fight or something. But that's ridiculous. I mean, like, Ashley's an adult, I'm an adult, and it got heated for a second just as far as the words went and the things we were saying to each other. But that's a part of the game. And so I do respect Ashley for actually talking about it. And I told Ashley that night, and I'll tell you guys, as far as I'm concerned, me and Ashley Hamilton, our relationship is reset. So now we start back at zero, and hopefully we continue to be cool. The way I see it when it comes to stand-up is, if we're all going to be on the scene and we're being serious about what we're doing, which I know I am, and I think after 13 years and the things I've done, I've definitely proved that I am serious about doing stand-up. So if you feel the same way, then we should probably be on the cool side, or at worst, not talk at all. Like, that's the way I feel with a lot of the comics. When comics try to give me shade out of nowhere, it's like, I don't really need that from you. I've been working on my stuff on this scene for a long time. And sometimes, because I work so much on the scene, people will assume that means I'm not doing anything else. And it's such a ridiculous way to look at things. I like to stay working on new material. I like to make sure that I'm always comfortable on stage, that I'm always getting more, because even though some people think some spots are pointless, or when there's no audience there's no reason to go up, or if it's just comics, like, people have so many reasons why they can't do comedy, why they can't actually work on their craft. And the way I feel about it is, no matter how bad the room, no matter how few people there are in the room, even if the other night I did a set at Mel's in Hollywood. I did a set for Fernando. It was on Monday. And all the other comics had already left. And I came in, well, I came in as the other comics were leaving, and I'd already signed up. And so I come in and I do a set just for Fernando. And some people would think that that's pointless, but to me, I feel like the more I'm on stage, the more comfortable I am, the more natural it looks, the better off everything is in the long run. So even though those aren't my favorite sets to do when there's no one in the room, I'm still going to do them. They also help out when you're on the road, because a lot of people have this glamorized idea of what the road is, but sometimes the road is really great and it's everything you hear about. Sometimes you're performing for packed rooms and it's absolutely wonderful. But a lot of times when you're doing the road, you're performing for a bar crowd or not that many people, especially if you're doing like triple runs or some of the smaller, like what they call runs or one nighters. Those can be somewhat brutal, and if you're used to LA brutal, they're actually kind of on the easy side, because you're like, okay, I might only have 20 people tonight here in this bar, but there are 20 people that are excited about comedy, which is more than you can say for a lot of the LA audiences. And I don't blame LA or the audiences, and I'm not complaining when I say that. But the thing is, there are so many options as far as entertainment goes here in LA that you really can't blame people for just being like, oh yeah, we got more live music, great. We got another open mic, great. We got, comedians, great. People aren't always the most excited about it. Plus, people don't go out for comedy a lot of times in LA, or for open mic in general. But a lot of times people in LA are done with their jobs, and they just want to go have a drink and talk to a friend, and then all of a sudden they find out there's a comedy show at the spot that they wanted to have a drink at. So not only are they not the most receptive, sometimes they're outright hostile. We used to do a spot called Michael's Pub, which was over in the valley. I can't remember. I think it was like Burbank and Lancashire or something like that, or Vineland and Burbank. Either way, we used to do this spot, and there was a pool league that used to go on at the same time as a comedy show. And they were outright hostile. They would heckle, they would complain about the show to us while we were on stage. And you'd just have to work with it. You'd have to, sometimes argue with them. I think that show ended because of a knife fight, technically. And this is no joke or exaggeration. I think the reason that they finally ended up stopping that show, I wasn't there the week that it happened. I ended up hearing about it from the host later. But something had happened. There was an argument. Somebody pulled out a knife. I don't remember if anybody got stabbed or not. It might have been a superficial stabbing, which sounds silly, but I think that's honestly what happened there. And these were the kinds of things you're up against. This is the way that it works sometimes in LA stand up. And there is occasionally like I said, the tendency to focus on the negative, but there's also the seeing people now that, in a lot of cases, I've had a over 10-year relationship with. And so sometimes with the newer people, it does get a little annoying, because it's like, okay, you're new. What you should be doing is actually working on your stuff. Whether you're funny or not, or trying to figure it out, what your real focus should be is trying to get your stuff together and worrying about you. Not worried about the gossip on the scene, not worried about what people are saying about me or anybody else, not worried about feminism or transphobia or any of the stuff that people are worried about online right now really shouldn't concern the newer comics, because what a lot of the newer comics I think aren't fully aware of is that the way comedy works is sometimes you do step out of yourself. Sometimes you do say things that aren't necessarily things you believe in. They're just, you've just found a funny way to put a different idea. And that doesn't always have to be your political belief or your stance on LGBT rights or any of that. Sometimes it's just finding a funny way to say something, conveying that to the audience, and then later on you go back and find the point or exactly what you're trying to do. But that's what the open mics are for, is just to work on that stuff. And I noticed a lot of people trying to stifle other people's creativity, and I don't really understand where that comes from. If you don't like something, then don't say it, but don't try to make it so other comics can't say it, because some of us need to be working on these ideas. Some of us are trying to go further than you are as far as our thinking, and stretch the way people see things. And in a lot of cases, that's the best way to educate, because yeah, you'll say something inflammatory, but then that'll start a dialogue afterwards. I have audience members all over the country. I'll do my set, which some people think there are certain parts that are inflammatory. To me, it's all jokes and fun, and the audience definitely gets that whenever I'm on the road. It's not like I have these problems with people being so offended and walking out, and it's just not what my reality is. So it's kind of hard for me to have other comics tell me what I do is offensive, when I'm like, offensive to who? To you because you're trying to do comedy and you haven't figured out what it works like yet? You haven't figured out the way that it goes, and so I'm supposed to pretend that now I'm in the same position you are and we have the same feelings? Well, we don't, because the way I look at comedy is completely different. But what I was trying to say is, a lot of times after an actual show, because of all the stuff I talk about, people will walk up to me and they'll ask me, audience members will ask me certain questions about being LGBT, and you find out that in a lot of cases these people aren't hateful at all. These people just wanted a way in so that they could ask some questions and kind of figure out something that in a lot of cases is foreign to them. Not everybody has huge exposure to LGBT. Not everybody has huge exposure to a lot of what's happening in the cities, especially in smaller towns. I tell people all the time about the Trump situation when the election was happening. Everybody in LA and California was so shocked and so surprised that Donald Trump actually won. But I was working the road a lot during that time when the campaigns, when everything was happening, that I was on the road. And so I was seeing Trump signs all over the country, and I kind of had an idea. Yeah, night of, I had been spending some time in LA for a couple weeks leading up, but the night of, I was kind of like, okay, maybe Hillary's got this. But that obviously didn't turn out to be the case. And yeah, I know everything with popular vote and stuff like that. I guess it was 2.8 million that Hillary is over in the popular vote. But to me, that also speaks to kind of the way that things work out and why it is that Trump ended up winning. Because the Hillary people were just kind of this blind rage. And I know everybody says like the Trump people were so angry, but Hillary people are pretty angry people in a lot of cases. I know plenty of level headed, but at the same time, when people put all of that on Trump, Trump supporters, when they're like, oh, Trump supporters, this, it's like, not really. I mean, like, yes, but no at the same time. Both sides. The problem is, the loudest people on both sides are the most obnoxious and not the people we want to be listening to or have represent us. And that's whether you're a Trump supporter or a Hillary supporter. The ones that call people assholes online, the ones that haven't figured out how to articulate what they're saying, without name calling, without attacking the person's character, because that's a lot of times what people fall to on social media. It's like, I'm talking about actual politics and you're talking about what an asshole I am. Never mind the fact that we've never met in real life, but you want to say that I'm an asshole, I'm a racist, I'm whatever else you want to call me, and that's supposed to be 100% okay. Then the minute I say anything back, the minute I respond to you being a hateful person, then all of a sudden, oh, typical Trump supporter, I see why. Well, no, it's just I'm better at this. I am better at really zinging people. Like, one person that's gotten on my nerves with that is this person by the name of Olivia Hader. Olivia Hader claims to be a comic. She always comments negatively on me whenever my name comes up on her Facebook feed. She recently, there was a post where somebody had said that there was a comic that posted as their status that I had said that I was going to slit their throat in front of their mom. Now, mind you, I haven't seen this comic or had any interaction with this comic in 3 years, and the last time we dealt with each other wasn't at all negative. We didn't have any kind of argument, there was no dispute, nothing going on. So, I don't know what made this person decide to post that as their status, but I was leaving the gym. I got a text message from a friend. The text message was a screenshot of this particular post. My friend isn't even in LA. And I just didn't understand where this came from. I didn't understand why anybody would say that. And if you want to say whatever you want about my comedy or something like that, I'm fine with that. I'll let that go. In most cases, I wouldn't even comment on that sort of thing. But when you are giving the idea that I threatened you with what amounts to murder, then yeah, of course I'm going to stop that. And of course I'm not going to be lighthearted and fun about that. I don't have a relationship with you. I'm not friends with you. And you're telling people that I threatened to kill you in front of your mother? Why would you think that that's okay? And then this person was trying to act like, well, I think everybody knows that, I'm an absurdist and whatever. And it's like, no, that not everybody knows that, because not everybody knows you. It's not like you're a household name or even a well-known name. You're somewhat known on the comedy scene, I guess, but yeah, and we're both comics on the scene, so there are other bookers seeing this. And I had a few friends tell me afterwards that they didn't know what was going on there. They didn't know if that was a serious post or what was going on. So clearly, this personality that you think you've set up isn't in reality what people are thinking. There were people that were thinking that I had somehow or decided to threaten you. Why would I threaten you when we don't see each other? So this person, Olivia Hader, is one of the first comments, and she's like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Well, Olivia Hader is a trans, quote-unquote, woman that doesn't put any time into herself, has a heavy beard line, is homeless most of the time as far as I know. Like, she had a GoFundMe to raise money to get an RV, and raised, I think, $7,000 or $8,000, which I don't know why people even donated to that, because I had heard months before that even happened we have mutual friends that they had tried everything they could to get her a job, to get her job interviews. She wouldn't show up for job interviews. She wouldn't even go to things. She was living in her van. She's always on Facebook. My advice to people like Olivia Hader is put down the Facebook. However you're doing it, whether it's your phone or on your computer, however you're doing it, put down the Facebook. Stop responding to stuff on social media and get your life together. That's what you really need to do, is just get your life together. Don't worry about any of this other stuff. It's all periphery. What you need to do is focus on getting your life together, because you lived in an RV that you had to panhandle. You were an online panhandler trying to get money for this RV. You got the RV, and then after that, your status updates were still negative, complaining about the fact that your RV life wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. You hadn't checked out the electrical in this RV before you bought it, and this is something that's from your own Facebook. So, this is you being stupid yet again, not figuring out the way that life works. If I were going to buy an RV, if that was where I was going to live, I would make sure that everything worked in it before I actually ended up in the RV. But you weren't even smart enough to do that. Probably because you were on Facebook arguing about stuff instead of taking care of business and handling the stuff you needed to handle. Then supposedly your RV got stolen, because I did ask on that post. Because here's the deal. I'm not going to be nice to people that are considered to be a protected class by other comics when they're talking shit about me. It's not like you can say anything you want about me, but I'm not allowed to touch this particular subject because you're considered a protected class. No. You say I'm a piece of shit. Cool, bro. I say you're a man. That's what I say, Olivia Hader. And guess what? So does that dick between your legs. Maybe that's what you need to worry about. Maybe you need to worry about getting more comfortable with your body or figuring out what you're going to do with yourself, because you are a mess. And that's just what it is. You're fat. You're supposedly got your hormones stolen not too long ago, and you were, again, trying to panhandle. I could tell when people are trying to lightweight panhandle. Because, when me and these people argue, I definitely do go to their page, and I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on in their life real quick, since they're loving to talk shit about me. And the first post I see from Olivia Hader on her page is that her state insurance wasn't going to cover replacing her hormones, so she needed $40 or she was going to be a hormonal bitch. Well, one, you're not a bitch, you're a dude. That's the first thing. And secondly, you're always hormonal. That's why you're arguing with people online all the time. And if you really are on hormones, somebody needs to get the memo to your beard, because that hasn't softened up at all. You look horrible. You always have a 5 o'clock shadow. Anytime I see you, I feel like listening to George Michael. The late George Michael. Yeah, that shadow is ridiculous. You've got a beard most of us are envious of. And you have the nerve to call yourself a woman. Get a hold of yourself, please. Not all of us have to buy into this. So, she says I'm a fucking piece of shit. And so I go after her and call her a dude. I ask her how her RV's working out. Turns out her RV got stolen, which I don't know how anybody steals an RV, but good for you. And I doubt your RV even got stolen. What you probably did was sold it. You didn't want to tell the people from your GoFundMe that you decided to sell your RV, because then it would seem like you're kind of double dipping in a way. And I think you're a horrible person. Not to mention, I also know that you got caught in somebody's house that you weren't supposed to be staying in after they had asked you not to be there anymore. So that's another thing. I also know that almost everybody that used to consider you a friend in real life has stopped talking to you or has limited their interaction with you. And the thing that bothers me with all of this is these people know what a horrible person you are, and they still stand up for you online or try to act like you're cool in regular life when they've all told me the way that they really feel about you. But this is one of those cases where somebody decides to talk about me all the time, but because they're trans, they think that I'm not supposed to say anything about them or their situation. Well, it's out there. So you can think I'm a horrible person all you want. That's arguable. The fact that you're a man, not arguable. The fact that you always, you don't even have to worry about getting your nuts cut off, because every time I see you, you swallow them anyway. That's the thing that bothers me the most about Olivia Hader, is that she talks all this shit online, but then when I see her in person, suddenly her eyes hit the floor. Suddenly she can't make eye contact with me. She doesn't have anything to say. That's what bothers me. You're only brave when you're behind your computer. That's the only time you're brave. And you're probably not even behind your computer. You're probably just on your phone. Which I don't know where you're getting your Wi-Fi or what your plan is, but you need to get your life together. That's my advice to Olivia Hader, is completely put down the Facebook. Get off social media altogether. Get a job. Figure out what you're going to do about that beard. Buy some fresh razors. Get a new start. Be a new woman. Sorry I got angry there, you guys, but I'm just tired of these so-called protected classes. That's why I didn't mind with Trump in that, people keep bringing up how he made fun of the handicap reporter. I don't really care about that. I've had handicapped people try to come after me online and act like they were, again, a protected class and I was not supposed to say anything back. No, sorry, you gimp, but not doing it. Had this fat hunchback talking shit about me the other day online, too. Andrew Codhill, I think is his name. Don't even fucking know this guy, and he starts talking shit about me. And I've seen him, but I don't know him. We don't have any kind of relationship. He even admits that we have no relationship. But he was upset because I was talking about Ashley Hamilton. Well, look at how dumb you are. Because Ashley Hamilton, now, we reset our relationship. So as far as I go, we're cool. And I think as far as she goes, we're cool too. So we're cool. And you jumped in talking some shit that you didn't know anything about when you don't know me. And now what's going to happen is I'll talk to you when I see you in person. I don't want to deal with you online. I blocked him. As soon as he started talking shit, I put up with him for, I think, 2 comments. Because first he tried to talk shit. Then I asked him if we actually knew each other. Because I was like, as far as I know, we've never talked. So I don't know where all this is coming from, where you have all these feelings about me. And he was like, well, you were mean to Ashley online the other day. And it's like, okay, you fat hunchback, I get it. But what you got to understand is no matter what you say, no matter what you do, Ashley Hamilton is going to fuck you anyway. You're a hunchback fucking gimp, and nobody wants to fuck with you. That's what it is. You're a hunchback. You're fat. You're disgusting. You look like shit. You dress like shit. I don't know what your comedy's like because I haven't seen you go up. As far as I know, you're an online, not even personality. You're just somebody that exists online. That's kind of the way I see you. So good luck with that not getting laid life, because that's clearly what you're living. People disgust me. So yeah, so that was another one that was talking about me. It's sometimes I pay attention to these people online, and sometimes I just completely ignore them. Like, there have been complete threads about me where I don't say anything, where I'm just like, okay, well, that happens. And then, like I said, I've been sent screenshots of different things, which, that too, I'm always like, who are these people? Why do these people have such opinions about me when in a lot of cases I don't even know who they are? Or if I do know them, I know them in passing. And the most cowardly thing is a lot of these people I say hi to, because as far as I know, they're just another person on the scene. Because if I've never met you and I have no bad opinion of you, then I treat you with respect. So I say hi to most of these people assuming that we're cool, and they say hi to me, and then I find out online you don't like me. Well, I'll tell you one thing I have over you, as terrible as a person as I'm supposed to be. I'll tell you one thing that I have over you. I'm not secretly harboring feelings about any of you. I'm not hating you over you getting in an argument. I see arguments that don't have anything to do with me online all the time, where it's comics just getting into it. Sometimes with people that I really know, I really respect. I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm not going to suddenly not like one of you, or even if I really like the other comic. It's just not what I do. I feel like it's best for me to mind my business and pay attention to what I have going. I mean, like, until you do something to me, then we don't have a problem. Until you say something about me, then we don't have a problem. And that's the way I feel that most of you should be. I feel like most of you should be worried about your own shit. Keep your eyes on your own paper. That's not what people want to do. But like I said, then there's also plenty of good on the scene. Like right now, there's some stuff that I really do like on the scene that's been happening. My friend Stephen Holloman, who's an Arizona guy, he's been running the Hooters on Hollywood on Wednesday nights. It's like on Hollywood Boulevard. It's upstairs at the Hooters. And, between him and Everett, Everett, who also is involved with Boys Club, which is on Mondays, and I've talked about several times on my podcast. I've told you guys about Boys Club being one of my favorite rooms. I showed up there the other night. Another great time there. Um, that's him and Daniel Moki that runs that, and but Hooters is such a good situation the way that they're doing it because Everett and Steven will go downstairs and they'll bark on the street, which if you don't know what barking is, that's when, you kind of hustle people in off the street. You call them in. It's more of a New York thing because in LA, a lot of places don't lend themselves to that as far as foot traffic. But when you're on Hollywood Boulevard and you have the ability to bark people in and you do that, that can be very effective. So Steven and Everett have really been turning Hooters into something, and it's just a fun situation. I don't get to go there weekly. I was there last night. That was a good time. But you know, I was at the Improv last night too, which Hollywood Improv is great. That's I was happy because I got to see my friend Jen Murphy there, which she's one of the people that I started with. And a lot of times when I hear female comics complaining about what they're not getting and what they're not doing, I'm always like, yeah, you're not funny. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you're a female. You're just not funny. You don't put the work in, you don't try, you don't write new stuff, or maybe you just aren't a funny person. Has that ever occurred to anybody in the history of doing open mics? That maybe it just looked fun to you and you thought it was going to be like any other job where, oh, I'll just get good at it, and you didn't get good at it. I believe people can develop into funnier people than they were, but some people really just don't have a funny bone in their body. And for some reason, a lot of those people have started doing comedy, and I don't know why exactly they think that that would work out or how they would think that's a good fit for them. It's like, then there's some people where you're like, oh, I get what's happening. You laugh at the stuff you say, so you don't even notice that the people around you aren't laughing at the stuff you say. I've seen plenty of that. But anyway, my friend Jen Murphy, she's a hard worker. She'll do any room that she can possibly do. She'll perform at any club she can possibly perform at. And she's just so funny. She rocks rooms. And I've known her since I first got to town. And she's just one of the people that I think of where I'm like, yeah, she doesn't get nearly as many opportunities as she should get. But every time I see her, she's got a good attitude. She's not trying to blame it on anything. Because, you know, we were talking a bit about it last night. Like, there are times where I could blame the fact that I'm gay on certain things that I haven't gotten. Because there have been people that have told me outright in emails, yeah, I just don't think what you would do would work in my club. And it's like, what I do would work in, you don't think what I do would work in your club? Like, be funny? Like, because that's what I do. And I work rooms just like yours. So I don't know. I mean, I can send you, because I have so much footage of myself performing, which I need to start editing more and putting out on social media. But I always feel like I can send you me doing rooms just like yours, me doing rooms worse than yours. It's only because I'm gay that you think what I do, quote unquote, wouldn't work in your room. That's the only reason. But rather than blame it on that, I just feel like it's better for me to keep working. If you say no, then I submit to somebody else and hopefully they say yes, and just keep sending my stuff out, keep working on new stuff, keep working on my comfortability, my stage presence, keep working on everything. And I feel like Jen Murphy is the same way because we talked about that and she told me, yeah, when I don't get stuff, I don't usually even think about it being the fact that I'm a woman. Um, there's a lot of reasons that people don't get stuff when it comes to, like, if you're trying to get feature work. One thing we talked about is a lot of the headliners bring their own features along now. So it used to be the clubs that would book the features. For those of you that aren't comedy savvy, the feature is the person that goes in the middle. It's usually host, feature, headliner is the way a show works. And yeah, the feature does a 30-minute spot. I think I talked about it before, how great the feature spot is. The feature spot can be really fun, really easy. It is butter. But yeah, a lot of headliners bring along their features now, where the clubs used to book the features. So there is significantly less opportunities available to feature for a comic unless you're working for the headliner, specifically the headliner requests you. Then another thing that started to happen when it comes to people wanting to feature on the road, because that's also a lot of times how you'll introduce yourself to headline at a club, is you'll get the feature spot, you'll do really well in that, and then they bring you back as the headliner. That's the way I've done it in a lot of instances. But the thing with feature work that's also happened is a lot of cases now people will use features from their own city, or like I should say the comedy club will use local features. That's a better way to put it. Yeah, the comedy clubs will use local features, because if they use a local feature, then they don't have to pay for a hotel. Then there's just a lot of stuff that they don't really have to worry about, that they have to think about when they have an out of town feature come in, which isn't always the best. I try to stay open and easy about it, because I know that the local guys do need opportunities. So I'm not going to hate on that. But at the same time, sometimes the clubs aren't the most discriminating, and all they're thinking about is saving money. So you do get bad comics featuring or opening for you, where you're just like, yeah, I don't even think this person should be doing a 7-minute guest set. But for some reason, they're my half-hour feature. So now I'm going to have to dig out of this hole. And I know I've told you guys before, but my real point of view on all that is, I know some comics like for the comic before them to bomb. That way they look that much better. But that's not the case with me at all. I like my features to rock it. I like them to destroy the room. That way, all I have to go up and do is reset it and then fucking ride the wave. Because I just reset it with my energy. I bring, when I have my choice, I bring Chris Rubio along with me, or there's also my friend Chris Storin that I bring along with me. And when I bring them, the thing I like about that is that they both just fucking destroy it. They're both so funny, and they're the opposite of me. They're very animated. So that gives me another factor that kind of, I guess you would say, works against me, because, I'm not the most animated guy in the world. So for me, it's kind of like starting my set off with like a challenge, because I have to not only reset the room and get them used to what it is I do, which isn't as animated as stuff that they do. But I don't mind. I want to work hard. I want to be, really, I want to be worth the money that people pay to see me. I want to be worth the time that people took out of their lives to actually watch my show. That's what I want. I want people to leave feeling like, yeah, that guy really did and said some stuff that we're not going to hear every day, and we may not agree with all of it, but it was funny, and it was worth hiring that babysitter for. It was worth all the stuff we had to do to make it here on time for this show. That's what I want, people. So yeah, I want to bring somebody strong along with me. That way it makes me work extra hard and have to be better than that. And I wouldn't even say better, because I don't look at it in a competition sort of way. I'm really only competing with myself, is the way I see it, which I know bugs the shit out of some people. And I don't know why that bothers people so much. It bothers people that I don't look at other comics as competition. But when I say that, it's not at all in a derogatory way towards the other comics. I just don't look at this as competitive in that way. Like, if you're good and I'm good, there's plenty of room for both of us. And if you're good and giving good shows and a good name to what it is we do, then that just makes it easier for me to sell my show, or for me to get people to come out and see me. That's the way I feel. And vice versa. I give shout outs to other comics all the time. When I know they're going to be in a city that I'm in, I'm always like, yeah, go see this person. They're hilarious. They're going to be here at this same venue in 2 weeks or in a week. Like Mike Stanley is a comic that I haven't known Mike Stanley long, and I don't know him that well, but I know that he's good at what he does. And I know that I met him when he was here in LA and not only got to witness it, I got to see him do a set, but also we talked, in the green room, and he's funny, he's good. So when I was in Oklahoma City, I think it was, and I was yeah, that was Oklahoma City. He was going to be there the following week, and I definitely let that audience know you need to come back and see Mike Stanley. I just maybe I don't get people because maybe it is I'm better than them. And I don't mean Mike Stanley in those comics. I mean like these shitty people that seem to look at comedy as like a competition. Maybe if you're confident in what you do, because there's a lot of people that I like that. Like Mike Stanley that I mentioned. Ben Roy is another one. I like Darren Carter a lot. There's just a lot of comics that I see that I really do like, and I don't feel at all in any way that I'm competing with them. I want to see them get ahead because it helps my industry, is the way I see it. And I wish that a lot more of us, what I would call road comics, rather than, a lot of times what TV will put out for you, or the alt scene, because there's plenty of alt comics that are good, but in a lot of cases they're really not, and that's because they don't try to appeal to the everyday person. They're more about trying to appeal to a very small audience that I guess reads a lot of books, or I don't know what it is these people do, but they're not into the funniest stuff if they like these alt comics, because a lot of these alt comics just really aren't funny. And I like a lot of different types of stuff, but it's just not funny what a lot of these people are doing, or what I should say, what they're calling alt comedy, because alt comedy can be very funny too. But anyway, I got off track, and let's be honest, I've talked enough. So let me remind you what's good in life. Everett Byram, good in life. Daniel Moki, good in life. Jen Murphy, good in life. Ron Swallow, good in life. Jeff Carasalis, very good in life. Stephen Holloman, Arizona guy, good in life. Chris Doran, super obnoxious, good in life. Chris Rubio, doesn't listen to my podcast, fuck him, good in life. Happy birthday, Renee, good in life. Miss Patricia, good in life. My mom, good in life. Bijou, gets on my nerves, fell in the lake at MacArthur Park the other day, had to give her a bath I didn't have time for, good in life. Jerry steals all the covers while we're in bed. Still super cute to sleep with, but if I try to pull him in, he'll put his paws out and give me the wait, and not let me hug him. But good in life. Yeah, that's all the good stuff. I could go into who's not good again, but no need to talk about that dude Olivia Hader again. We all know she's a man. That's from Austin Powers. Anyway, you guys, I'm glad we had this chat, and I'm glad I re-recorded, because the last one was entirely too negative. And you can't really come off too bothered if you're gonna be unbothered. And my name is Ty Rivera, and I'm definitely 100% unbothered. You can find me at americasfavoritefag.com. Still working on the makeover for that, but You know. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a good week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave me some comments. Give me some iTunes reviews. Do some stuff for me, huh? Why don't you guys be part of what's good in life? Maybe I'll mention your name on the next Good in Life. Oh, Andrew Jacobs, Good in Life. I appreciate you, sir. All the shout outs you give me, occasionally trolling people that I think your trolls are hilarious. Oh, and Anthony D. Gutierrez, Good in Life. I did his show in the Yucca Valley. So much fun. Those people were so ready for a good time. That was last Friday. And yeah, one of the things I like about Anthony is he just doesn't give a fuck. And boy, is that guy a troll. He'll make a meme in a minute about some silliness and just really clown the shit out of people, and I really do respect that. Anyway, next week we'll talk more about step and fetch faggots. When it comes to fags that I really like, though, I will tell you I'm still 100% on board the Jimmy Rogers train. That's one person. Samir Suri, definitely a fan of Samir Suri. That's my boy right there. Those two fags, don't hold it against them, you guys. If you're on the scene, those are my friends. And Lila Hart. Lila Hart, get better soon. I know that you were supposed to go home from the hospital today, and I hope that that went through the way that it's supposed to and that you did in fact go home. I hope you're feeling better. Madison Sinclair also just had a lung surgery. So Madison, shout out to you. I don't know if you listen to the podcast or not, but anyway, good vibes headed your way. Thank you guys. I love you. Unbothered by Ty Rivera. Have a good day. Have a good week. We'll talk soon.